In 1962, during the Cold War, there existed the Occam Aerospace Research Center, a secret government laboratory in Baltimore, Maryland. Elisa Esposito, a mute woman, worked there as a cleaner and lived in a small apartment just above a movie theater. Her life seemed like a perfectly rehearsed routine, as she did the same thing every day. Since childhood, Elisa had scars on her neck and always wondered where they came from. Her next-door neighbor, Giles, a middle-aged illustrator, was one of her closest friends. Her neighbors treated her kindly, as she was always polite and cordial. Every day she took the bus to work and was warmly greeted by her closest coworker, Zelda Fuller. When other colleagues harassed or intimidated her, Zelda always defended her. Both were responsible for keeping the offices and other facilities clean, moving through spaces used by top executives. During a typical work shift, one of the officers announced that a new and valuable asset had arrived at the center, captured in South America. They brought in a container along with Colonel Richard Strickland, who was in charge of the project. When Elisa approached to observe it, something inside the container struck it, drawing everyone's attention. Frightened and confused, Elisa and Zelda left the room and continued with their work. While cleaning the men's bathroom, they encountered Strickland, who gave off a threatening presence. Later, they heard a scream from the room where the container was. Strickland appeared in the hallway, missing 2 fingers on his left hand, and the guards rushed to assist him. Elisa and Zelda were assigned to quickly clean the blood-stained room, where the new asset was being kept. As she poured a bucket of water, Elisa discovered Strickland's 2 fingers in a corner and carefully placed them in a bag to send to the hospital. As she approached the container, Elisa discovered that the asset was an amphibian man. Fascinated, she returned the next day to see him again and found him transferred to a small pool next to the container. To get his attention, she offered him a boiled egg. The chained creature approached, and Elisa placed the egg in front of him. Over the following days, Elisa constantly snuck into the room to spend time with him, feeding him and teaching him sign language, as well as playing music for him affectionately. She seemed much happier since she had met the amphibian man, while she danced in front of the pool to entertain him. Robert Hofstetler, a scientist and secretly a Russian spy named Dmitry Mosenkov, saw how Elisa formed a close bond with the creature and reported to his Soviet superiors that the being was intelligent and could communicate. His superiors ignored the report and ordered him to kill it before the Americans advanced in scientific research. During one of Elisa's encounters with the amphibian man, she saw that he was chained to a small platform where Strickland brutally tortured him. Meanwhile, General Hoyt, Strickland's superior, wanted to take advantage of the creature's body for research in space technology. Strickland managed to persuade Hoyt to perform vivisections on him. Elisa overheard the conversation and was devastated. She decided to ask Giles for help to free the creature, aware that if she did nothing, the amphibian man would die. Giles hesitated at first, but ultimately agreed to participate, considering that Elisa was his only true friend and the only one who truly listened to him. Hofstetler met again with his superiors, who administered him a poisonous injection to kill the amphibian man. Although he hesitated, he had to obey. Meanwhile, Elisa and Giles set their escape plan in motion. He used his skills to prepare a van and forge an identification card. In the laboratory, Strickland began to give Elisa unwanted attention by deliberately spilling a glass of water, forcing her to clean his office. Elisa left after being harassed. Hofstetler prepared the poison while Elisa began her plan, diverting the facility's surveillance cameras. Upon discovering the strategy, Hofstetler decided to help her. In the container room, Elisa was surprised to see him, and he handed her the keys to free the amphibian man. As Zelda was leaving work, she suspected that Elisa was planning something and decided to follow her. Elisa placed the amphibian man in a laundry cart and pushed him through the facilities while Giles drove toward the agreed meeting point. Although they faced obstacles, Hofstetler cut the power with an explosive device and anesthetized a guard with a syringe. They managed to get the amphibian man into the van and escape. Strickland and the security team arrived late and were furious and devastated. Elisa, Giles, and the amphibian man arrived safely at Elisa's apartment. The creature was kept in the bathtub with chemicals that Hofstetler instructed to preserve his health. Over time, he regained strength, and Elisa planned to release him into a nearby canal, hoping it would rain so he could reach the ocean. In the laboratory, Strickland and his team investigated how they managed to escape and steal their asset. The next day during his shift, Strickland interrogated Elisa and Zelda, but doubted they were responsible. He did not believe that two women, one of them mute, could carry out a theft in a high-security government laboratory. Meanwhile, Giles slept in the apartment watching over the amphibian man, who left the bathtub and ended up eating one of Giles's cats. Frightened, Giles confronted him, and the creature scratched his arm before running out of the apartment. He reached the movie theater downstairs before a worried Elisa found him and brought him back. Upon returning, the amphibian man touched Giles on the head and the injured arm. One night, Elisa had trouble sleeping and went to check on the amphibian man in her bathroom. They looked at each other tenderly and shared an intimate moment. For the first time in her life, Elisa felt a real connection. The love she had longed for was present. She felt that her life had a new meaning since the creature arrived. At Hofstetler's home, his Russian superiors visited him. Feeling in danger, he hid a knife to defend himself, but they ultimately left him alone. However, he was shot by one of them. Giles woke up one morning and discovered hair growing on his head where there had previously been baldness, and he found it strange that the wound on his arm was not completely healed. As Elisa and the amphibian man grew closer, they made love. She even flooded the bathroom so she could swim with him, which caused leaks in the movie theater. The owner complained, forcing Giles to interrupt their cherished moment. In the laboratory, General Hoyt informed Strickland that he had 36 hours to recover his asset, or his career and life would be at risk. One morning, Elisa noticed that the amphibian man was growing weaker day by day and decided it was time to let him go. She imagined a world where they could be together freely, with music in the air, singing and dancing in love. Meanwhile, Hofstetler was shot by one of his Russian superiors, but Strickland, waiting for the right moment, not only killed both superiors, but also shot Hofstetler upon discovering that he was a spy. He tortured him to obtain information about who had taken his asset, but Hofstetler refused to reveal names. His last words were, "No names, no ranks, just cleaners." This made Strickland reflect, surprising him when he realized that the two cleaners were involved. Strickland went to interrogate Zelda and her husband, Brewster, acting increasingly manic out of desperation to capture the amphibian man. Out of fear, the husband confessed that the creature was with Elisa. Zelda scolded her husband and called Elisa to warn her. Strickland, full of fury, went to search Elisa's apartment, but arrived too late. He only found a calendar indicating where she planned to release the amphibian man. At the canal, they said goodbye to the creature. Strickland arrived, knocked Giles down, and began shooting at the amphibian man and Elisa. Accepting their fate, they dramatically held hands. Giles managed to get up and strike Strickland, while the creature regained strength and healed his gunshot wounds. Strickland, impressed, called the amphibian man God before the creature cut his throat with his claws. When the police arrived, the amphibian man carried Elisa into the water. Giles and Zelda watched with sadness and despair as the creature kissed her underwater and touched the wounds on her neck, instantly reviving her. They remained underwater, in love and happy to be able to be together, free.